Hi there, to start it off, this is going to be a video summarizing the PM Anniversary Livestream. This is going to be the start of a PowerPoint presentation because, giving respect to director Kim Ji-hoon, I may have butchered his name. I'll also be giving my thoughts and predictions on the game's future as a Limbus, PM veteran, gaming veteran, whatever, okay? Forgive me, this is my first time doing anything like this. This is kind of yapping content, so yeah. Okay, so firstly, an overview of the roadmap. We'll be covering the in-game stuff first, along with mirror dungeons following after. And finally, the external stuff will not be covered since I know I'm pretty late to this video. I've been struggling with uni exams recently, or like until today. So now that I'm finally free, I can make something like this. Yippee! So before we start, this is going to be the banner for this week. Heathcliff getting Eagle, Sinclair getting an ID. I'm not sure whether anybody wants my opinions on these kids, but I think Heathcliff will make O5 Heath pretty viable, since Tremor teams mostly do sloth damage and he applies sloth fragility, which is very good for the Tremor combo with Frog Lu and Everlasting Force. Sinclair is a bit weird because he needs to have very good numbers on his count, but if he does, he could be a more reliable way of getting the 15-3 Rupture requirement that Rupture teams kinda need now, rather than the standard way of doing it right now, which is having Talisman Sinclair support passive on a Deviat Rodion S3 combo kind of thing. So I'm hoping that they'll give him good numbers to make him kind of a reliable way of getting the 15-3 requirements rather than relying on combos. Okay, anyhow, Don Quixote Seasonal Highlight ID, the manager of La Mancha Land. Here's the brighter version for those that wanted. Quick Canto 7 spoiler warning. Jump to the next timestamp if you haven't finished it yet. In the background, you can see crying blood fiends and what seems to be like hair. So my personal guess is that this is the moment where the OG Don Quixote got stabbed by all the blood fiends he loved. You know, like this cutscene, and this is showing our Don Quixote stabbing the real Don Quixote. Okay, so anyhow, gameplay wise, this ID will have a new mechanic of having a modifiable skill set, which is super duper cool. Skill 1 is from the Priest Gregor ID, Skill 2 is from the Barber Otis ID, and the defense skill is from the Princess Rodion ID. Apparently she can enhance her skills once her stacks has filled up to a certain amount, aka welcome back charge. Jokes aside, this is a really cool mechanic, and if PM, who has a history of reusing / testing new mechanics through some IDs, follow through with it again, just like how Bamboo Kim was the testing ground for a unique S4, or like having a skill 4 on an ID which led to Philip Clare and Earl King Heath. I think that the Don Quixote ID might lead to the ego synchronization mechanic from Ruina making a return. For those that don't know, you can see the card there. Essentially what it is that just like how in current Limbus, whenever we use an ego, our sinner kind of combines with an abnormality. But with egos in Limbus currently, it's a skill. With ego synchronization, it's more like a full replacement for an ID with multiple different skills, and normally it only lasts for a couple of turns as you can see there, but they are super strong as well. So think about it, alright? Think about it. With the Don Quixote ID, we have these new few additions. It shows that a replaceable kit is possible rather than only having one skill being replaced, like with Sinclair or with Earl King Heath. It also checks if something exists in the team, because Don Quixote will check whether Barber, Priest, Princess exists in the team or not. So doesn't this sound a lot like what an ego synchronization would need right now? Like maybe the ego will check if you have a certain ID, and if it finds it there, or if you have the ID, it would have a new special effect, something like that. Next up, all Intervellos are getting voiced again. They'll likely be rerunning one of the old Intervellos events again, as well as adding voices to those story chapters and the mini episodes leading up to them. They'll have a hard difficulty as well as new egos or IDs with a standard of being ego. So yeah, as shown here, their baseline will be egos, due to it being difficult to match the power levels of older, weaker characters that tend to be in an older event. to current ID levels. Also be adding announcements based on the characters from the intervellos as both reward and extractions. By rewards we mean event rewards, by the way. They'll also be optimal for the Yisang Exchange, which is the gacha PT system. It's this thing, if you don't know. I highlighted it in light blue for you. So the first intervello we'll be getting is Miracle in District 20, which is just in time for the Christmas season. So all the details are already explained. You can pause here and read it again if you want to. Next up is Walpurgis Night. And it'll be Ruina themed along with Full Stop Office. For those that don't know, Full Stop Office is this bunch of guys. They like to shoot and bang people. So there'll be 2 new IDs from the Full Stop Office based on what Kim Ji-hoon said, with them being Honglu and Heathcliff respectively. Honglu, Heathcliff. Okay, so you can notice that the top one has that jade eye that Honglu has. Sorry, that jade eye that Honglu has, as well as his hairband, and the bottom one has the scar on the lower left cheek, which Heathcliff has as well. So my guess is Honglu will be the Liwei ID, which is this one shown here. Since Liwei was the only full stop fixer who could use melee in Ruina, and also in the image Honglu is using melee as well. And my guess is that Heathcliff is likely Stefan, since firstly they're both guys, and the gun also looks kind of blocky and thick like the front of Stefan's gun. In addition, we'll also be getting a new ego for Otis, likely the fruit. I'm not going to try it. The bro ID. Coincidentally, he is also one of the few amnos that can synchronize in Ruina, just like I said before. And Otis also already has an existing Magic Bullet ID. So since we already got the bro ID in the form of Magic Bullet, I feel like getting him again as an ego just wouldn't be as cool, because since we already got him before, unless they have some kind of cool gameplay feature tied to it, like the synchronization that I mentioned earlier. Also, Kim Ji-hoon in the Google Translate docs has said that it will synergize and strengthen the ID as well, which supports this theory even further, and is what I'm sincerely hoping for. Kim Ji-hoon, please give us this. This would be so cool to have. Okay, next. It'll be Intervello 1, LCB regular checkup. They didn't really mention much about it, but it just seems like a chill intervallo about distortions and risk levels. I have no idea how they're gonna fit combat into this, but you know, having a chill intervallo after the events of Kanto 7 seems like a nice change of pace, so I like this. Next is Reflection Railway Line 5. There's not much to say about this, besides that Kim Ji-hoon did say that it's gonna be a merry-go-round, which is why it's gonna take inspiration from Railway Line 2, except they'll make it more fun. Because whoever has played during then knew how much of a pain it was to fight all the bosses. All the bosses had some way of surviving, even though the whole point of it was to clear it as fast as possible. Like they had either immune phases, or just a way to avoid damage, or they had protection, whatever. You know, Railway 2 was, in my opinion, the least fun one. So after that, we're gonna have the second Intervello Rerun, which is the Blade Lineage one. You might flash to claim the bones, starring Jun and Bamboo Kim. So yeah, you're gonna have fun with all those bros again. Once again, the details have already been said. I'm not gonna cover them, so you can pause here and read if you need to. And for the second actual Intervello, we'll be having the Nocturnal Sweeping event. This Intervello will likely be focused on the sweepers, since Nocturnal hints at night and sweeping hints at the sweepers, you know. I think that makes sense. If you didn't know, apparently every night the sweepers appear to clean up the back streets, as shown by this Library of Ruina wiki. The red glowing things are also likely the red eyes of the sweepers, if you see it behind Dante, and if you see this sprite from Ruina, you can see that they have red eyes. I also don't really think we'll be getting sweeper IDs though, because it could be just me, but I don't think that drip looks particularly good. And secondly, anybody who knows their lore will know that they are essentially a bunch of liquid in a suit, which is kind of hard to have an ID for. Finally, after the Intervello, we'll be having Chapter 8. Nothing much to say about it, since there's not much to go off, but I like the Chinese theme, I think this would be in the new district, probably, maybe. And overall, it seems pretty cool. Okay, so now to the more controversial parts of the anniversary. The collab. We'll be getting a collab with Arknights, and they plan for the collab to be between September and October, so in around 2025, in around 9 months time. There'll also be a crossover event story around the size of an Intervello. There'll be 4 Eagles and 4 Sinners, and there'll also be an operator from Arknights added as an announcer too. These will be the 4 Sinners we'll be getting Eagles for. Hopefully your favorites are in there. Also, this will be Limbus' first ever limited banner. As stated by Kim Ji-hoon, it's due to the nature of crossovers and their licensing agreements. This news has upset a good chunk of the community over the past few days. It's understandable to be upset, since I think most of us love Limbus partially because of its generosity. I also think Kim Ji-hoon was placed in a tough spot. Either we have a collab and deal with the limited banners, or we don't have any collabs at all. But I do think he should gather feedback from the community regarding future collabs, as well as for other issues too, which will be coming up again soon. So anyhow, this is the Mirror Dungeon 5 changes. Since, like I said, I've been delayed for making this video due to my uni exams, we now have the patch notes for it. So I'll only be covering the first phase, so for the starter buff mechanics. It got changed, to put it simply. As we all know, the starter buffs can help greatly in easing the Mirror Dungeon's difficulty, which is why whenever there was a reset, the MD feels extremely tough and bad, because seeing all the buffs disappear is just not a fun thing in general. Thus the whole Starlight system that we had before got removed, and now has been replaced with the new rest bonus focus, Grace of Stars. How it works is that by bringing unused IDs, you can get more rest bonus amount, as shown here. Depending on the max amount you have, you will get all the passive listed here. And I know there's no tags in here. When the new changes come out this Thursday, there'll be tags there, okay? Don't worry about it. So you'll be able to get all the passive listed here, and you also get to choose one passive from the selection here. And as you can see, there are costs tied to each one of these, and it will reduce the balance that you have, which is shown here with the negative sign. The leftover rest bonus will convert into extra cost for your MD run, and if you forgot, cost is the currency used to do stuff in the MD shop. Next off, all the Eagle gift categories will be available by default, and all the damage type categories got removed. Also, at the starting pack screen, we'll be able to toggle whether we want to play on normal or hard, over here. Although only normal will be available after this week's maintenance. The rest stop and the shop also got combined with a revamped UI. They will now only appear on the node before the floor boss, and you can also review and heal as many times as you want, as long as you have enough costs to do so. You can now also gain duplicate Eagle gifts. However, the duplicate gifts will only be usable for sale or for fusion. Shop or fusion will not provide duplicate Eagle gifts. You can also now gain duplicate Eagle gifts. However, duplicate Eagle gifts will only be available for sales or fusion. Shop or fusion will not provide duplicate Eagle gifts. Choice events might, however. 18 new Eagle gifts were added, and 9 pre-existing Eagle gifts will be adjusted, as well as 7 fusion recipes. Unrelated, but 6 existing choice events will get updated as well. Next, for combat changes, now abnormalities from choice events will also appear in a new abnormality node, as I circled there. They offer the same rewards as you would get if you defeat them in a choice event too, as circled here. You won't get any of the additional rewards that you could normally get from other nodes, however. Finally, Sinners will also be fully revived and healed upon entering a new floor. However, all combat encounters will now be chain battles and have more enemy units per stage as well. MD Normal has also been changed from 4 floors to 5 floors, again too. To accommodate for this, there will be fewer stages and the HP will be adjusted, so overall clear times are still the same. I think that this should hopefully lower clear times actually, since there will be less loading screens to go through. Okay, next up, this is the very infamous Wealth and Famous section. So since PM wants to make cooler IDs and Eagles, as well as start more projects such as the anime or a new game, they need more money. Which is why they'll be adding a week delay before seasonal IDs are shardable in the dispenser. Seasonal IDs are the ones from the story and the ones from the events. Now for my opinion, I know the community overall has been pretty vocal about this. As someone who will be directly affected by this change, since part of my uploads are ID showcase kind of videos, it's a little upsetting to see, but it's not a big deal overall. Just like with the Arc Knights collab, however, I wish Project Moon would consult the community first before making these sort of changes. Like for example, they can increase the price of the Battle Pass, and I think a lot of us would be happy to pay for it since it's good value and it lasts for like 6 to 8 months. It also wouldn't have the same type of FOMO complaints like with this change, but since they are mentioning to implement an ID rotation support system for Mirror Dungeon, I'm hoping they could change it from monthly to weekly instead, and have the new IDs/egos be in the rotation. That way, content creators won't be as affected, because like for me, I'll be able to just go to Mirror Dungeon, use that support system to record my videos. I think it will also be good for new players to try out the IDs. Well, not new players, but players in general to try out the IDs. And overall, I understand why a lot of people are upset with the recent changes so far, and it is slightly worrying, but I do think we need to wait and see before making any hard judgments about it. And a lot of the reactions by those who were upset are pretty unjustified. But we should also be slightly worried about this, to say the least, and keep a close eye on it. Anyhow, that's all for this video. Let me know in the comments if you want me to cover the Phase 2 of the MD changes. You can also tell me if you want it to be in a PowerPoint presentation like this again, or if you want it to be in a more properly edited video, I guess. If you enjoyed it, hit the like and subscribe button. Bye bye!